What up, guys? Good evening. Bill Hoops here with 1221 Productions, man. And you know I own Florida PGF and Capital Tacos, and I've been meeting a lot of great people here in the Pasco County area. There's a gentleman who's on like episode 48 of a show that he does basically every morning from his truck. It's called Talks with Thomas. And this is a man who is a former military member. He is a business owner. He owns a clothing line. We're just going to go ahead and bring him on. We're going to talk to the gentleman named Thomas Holcomb. Thomas, how you doing? Welcome to the show, if you want to call it that. I appreciate you being here with me. Two veterans that are sitting here just going to have a conversation a little bit about life, about meeting each other, what we're currently doing now, things that we're working on, and just moving forward in life. So a little introduction, Thomas. As you know, my name is Bill Hoops. I do own Florida PGF. It is the biggest girls softball entertainment company here in the Southeast United States. We work hard and do a lot of tournaments from 8 to 18 years old for female athletes, and run about 40 events a year that provide multiple opportunities for females to pursue a college scholarship through athletics, to be able to pursue their goals and dreams. We also own Capital Tacos, specifically the Capital Tacos here in Trinity. I was a Navy veteran, chief petty officer, as an NC career recruiter, as well as an AK and SK in the supply and logistics field. I've been married, living here for 20 years, living here in Pasco County for 13 years. 2 kids, 2 dogs, a cat, a partridge, and a pear tree. So that's a little bit about me. I know, Thomas, you own a couple companies, a clothing line, or a veteran as well. Why don't you introduce yourself, tell us a little bit about you.
I'll say first, I just want to say thank you for having me on, man. I'm excited. I see your podcast and your interviews and just the positivity and the encouragement that you're always displaying on Facebook as well. And I just remember the first hub meeting that you came to, and you got up and talked, and I was like, this guy's got it, man, and he's got a positive vibe. And so, we've talked a few times and played ball together and stuff. And so, thank you for having me on. I really appreciate it.
And I appreciate the invite and the want to have the conversation with me. So a lot. So talk about you, talk about your businesses, talk about give the audience a little bit more about you.
So like you mentioned, I too am a Navy veteran. I did 8 years in the Navy. I was an SK2 when I got out. My first ship, I was on it was a USS Eden. It was a diving and salvage ship. Small ship. We only had about 40 members on board. Most of them were like EOD divers and whatnot, stationed out of Little Creek, Virginia. Older ship. And I can tell you that, it was literally 40 people. It's a little bit bigger than a tugboat, right?
Okay.
So I did that first. They decommissioned it. I was there for about 2 years, and then they decommissioned that, and I transferred to. I thought I was going to San Diego, right? I was all excited. So after I left the Edenton, they sent me to SK school, and I believe that's in
Meridian, Mississippi. Mississippi. Come on.
I'm like, where are they sending me, right?
Yeah.
I can tell you, I had an amazing time there.
Bowling alley and a bus route.
Like a taco shop, man. But that was about it. But the good thing was, I had already been in the Navy, so I came and I was a little older, right? So I got along well. I finished first in my class, and I was dating a girl, right? And she was going to San Diego. I was like, well, let me go to San Diego. So I got to pick my first. I got my first pick because I was the number 1 in the class, right?
And what year was this? What year?
So this was 90. So I joined in 92. So this was 94. 1994.
Okay.
And sorry, my dog.
That's all right. Your baby wants some attention.
Yeah, he always does this when I'm doing this. But anyways, so I was dating this girl. She went to San Diego. Give me 1 second.
Yeah, take your time, man. Take your time. See, that's the thing, man. This is real life, right? We do these interviews. They're not supposed to be perfect. They're not supposed to be 100%. Real life gets in the way. So I'm guessing you have a dog.
I have a dog, yeah, Big Red. So I rescued Big Red about 6 years ago. He's a red-nosed pit bull. He looks like a beast, but he's the friendliest dog in the world.
Gotcha.
He needs a lot of attention. So he's in there. I apologize for that.
No worries.
Back to the Navy thing. So I picked a ship, USS Curtis Wilbur, DDG 54, brand new ship. I'm like, cool, I'm going there, going to San Diego. And so I finally get there. I check on board, and they say, Petty Hogan, welcome aboard. We are shifting your home port to Yokosuka, Japan.
Stop it.
Yeah. So I'm like, all right, well, guess I'm going to Japan.
Yeah.
So I was in Japan from like 93, 94 to 97.
Okay.
On the Curtis Wilbur, DDG 54. Matter of fact, it was the first destroyer that had women on board.
Okay.
The very first one. So, and that was a little crazy.
Yeah. Some adjustment based off the times, right?
Yeah, for sure. So we did that, and I came back to shore duty in upstate New York, Nuclear Power Training Unit up there in Saratoga Springs, New York. I was sort of like the comptroller for them. It was mostly non-military people.
So you went from Japan to upstate New York.
And here's the thing, I didn't know anything about
Gotta love the Navy, man.
I thought I was going to like New York.
Right.
So right? No, upstate New York is not the same as New York.
Oh, I know. I was a recruiter in Buffalo for 3 years.
Yeah, so you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it was good though. I was there and I had the option. So I was at my 8-year limit. So I was at my option to, whether to re-enlist or not. And I had my youngest daughter, and I said, they wanted me to send me back on another boat. And I've been everywhere, so I made the decision to get out. And, some days I wish I would have stayed in, you know what I mean? Like I only had, I was 8 years in, I only had 12 more to go. Seemed pretty easy enough, but God has different plans, right?
Right.
So I got out, 2001. Right.
So you got out in January of 2001. I went to boot camp in February of 2000.
Wow.
Right? Yeah. So you joined or you transferred, went to, another duty station in 94. I was actually entering high school in 94. Right. So 94, 95. I was 8th grade in 94. 95, I entered high school. 96, I actually dropped out of high school, 16 years old, dropped out in October of my 10th grade year, did not graduate high school, got in trouble at 16, floated around for a little bit, went to a program called Job Corps, Earl C. Clements Job Corps Center, run by the Department of Labor, left here, Florida, went to Morganfield, Kentucky, at Earl C. Clements Job Corps Center. This was the first time I was introduced to real cooking, right? I own the Capital Tacos, the restaurant. So when I showed up there to Job Corps, they said, you can do this job, you can do this job, you can do this job, or we have culinary. Now, God bless somebody who can work outside in 900 degrees and do a lot of those things. I know you do that, right, at certain times. But it just wasn't where I wanted to be at 16 years old. So I went to culinary school, right? And I finished culinary school. I left there with my GED, got my technical degree in culinary arts, went back home, worked at a Ruby Tuesdays for 2.5 years, and that's where I found a Navy recruiter. So I was sitting on my mom's porch reading a newspaper, and it said hiring firefighter. Now, being a 12-year Navy recruiter, I know that's called a blind ad now, right? I know that's called a blind ad. So I said, I don't know, Navy recruiter, how can you help me? 6 days later, I was in his office. 6 weeks later, I was on a bus to Great Lakes, Illinois, right?
Yep.
So my story, somewhat similar to yours. I did my first tour, went to boot camp, went to Meridian, Mississippi for A school. I came in the Navy as an AK, aviation storekeeper, where you were an SK, which is storekeeper. I worked, my first duty station, I got sent to VF 103, F-14 Tomcats. I was a supply guy for that. We were stationed on the USS George Washington. So I had missed the boat 2 weeks before coming back from A school. They flew me to New York, flew me to Sicily. Sicily, I got on a cod. I landed on I'm 2 weeks in the Navy, and I landed on an aircraft carrier in the middle of the Indian Ocean, and 4 days later, I'm in Antalya, Turkey. So a lot of fun. Did the first tour, went on one deployment, came back, did my second deployment after 9/11 in 2002. Totally different environment, different atmosphere from the first deployment. We went to 19 different home ports. Second deployment, we went to Bahrain and Dubai. That's it, right? We went to the sandbox. I, too, met a young lady. It's funny listening to your story. I, too, met a young lady. You have since met this young lady. Met my current wife in March of 2003. Moved into an apartment underneath her. She was literally my upstairs neighbor.
Oh, wow.
So that's how we met. She graduated school and moved back to her hometown of North Carolina.
Okay.
So I took orders as a recruiter saying, hey, I'm going to go to her hometown. I want to follow her. I want to see how it goes, right? It's funny listening to your story. This is exactly how it went for me. And a few bumps and bruises along the way, but there we ended up getting married. We ended up getting pregnant with my son, who was born in Gaffney, South Carolina. Then I went to the Roosevelt for a year, decided to come back to recruiting, and I spent majority of my time on recruiting. Now, I got promoted to E6 within the first 5 years of being in the Navy. I got promoted very quick. I made third class first time up, second class first time up. I went to recruiting, and if you could imagine, I was good at speaking, right? Yeah. So I was the 2005 Recruiter of the Year, which got me meritoriously promoted to E6. But then I went up for chief 5, 6 times and got told no 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times. And you know what that's like, right? You get told no, you get rejection, your peers are looking at you. It's only once a year. You start to feel that, but had to push through there. Finally, 6th try, 2012, I make Chief Petty Officer. Very cool. Lot of fun, right? I still wear my anchor today. You once a chief, always a chief. You've been to my store, I got that big anchor. And I'm going to finish my Navy story with this. Yeah, I'm going to finish my Navy story with this because yours ended with you were left with a choice to get out or stay in, right? Now, the difference in our story is I had double the time.
Yeah.
I was at 16 years as a Chief Petty Officer in the Navy, 4 years away from the finish line, right? So anybody and their brother would have finished the 4 years. Would you agree?
Yeah.
Depending upon circumstance, right? But just imagine you're healthy, your family is healthy, no one's sick, there's no external circumstances other than you're a recruiter, right? And the only options that they give you, you're in Jacksonville or you're in Florida for your last 4 years. The only options they give you is San Diego, San Jose, Arizona, and Minnesota, right? So now I'm faced with these options. Move my family, knowing that in 4 years, my daughter will be graduated, my wife will be on a career, move them all back and hope that they come. Go be a GEO. If you're not familiar with a GEO, that's living away from my family in one area while they live in another, or get out, right? So it's 16 years, Thomas. I told the United States Navy that I was separating as a 16-year Chief Petty Officer. Everybody was blown away.
Yeah.
Everybody was blown away.
They didn't offer any type of. They only really do that offered like if the ranks or the rating is really stuck, right? I remember that some of that was happening to the SK ranks where they were letting people get out a little bit. But that wasn't the case for you. It wasn't. It wasn't, but it was. Literally, when I checked out, my CO had a set of orders
and a DD-214.
Wow.
You know, and I said, sir, if you want me to stay in the Navy, like, just keep me on the East Coast. Like, let me get home for dinner. My daughter's entering high school. My wife is doing this. And so long story short, at 16 years in the Navy as a chief petty officer, I took that DD-214 and I walked out.
Yeah.
And I separated and I started over, you know. So Navy was the greatest thing that ever happened to me, right? I entered the Navy with a GED as a single sailor, and I left married with 2 kids and a master's degree, you know?
Yeah.
So yeah.
So you got a lot out of it, yeah, for sure. But leaving that early with the 4 years left for that full.
Crazy, right?
Yeah. No,
crazy.
Yeah. No, but, you know, like I always say, you know, things happen for a reason, right? So, you know, that's a tough decision, but you got to be strong mentally to make those. You
got to believe in you. You got to believe in you. That's it, right?
That's it, right? Things you're going to have to make now. Yeah, you're a little bit, you know, you could have had this, but that's not there now, right?
Right.
So now the focus is, let's get what's mine, right? And that's it. So I applaud you because I'm going to be honest, I don't know if I would have done it.
Nobody would have done it, Thomas.
I would have went to Minnesota and recruited my ass off. You know what
I mean?
Right.
But here was the reason why, right? There was one reason to stay.
Yeah.
Money.
Yeah.
That's it. There was one reason to stay because of money, right?
Yeah.
Here was the reasons not to stay, right?
Yeah.
My daughter was chasing a softball scholarship. Move her to Minnesota. Now she graduates. Maybe she stays in a college up there. Maybe she doesn't. But it's a lot of disruption for her life. Right? I lost my father at a very young age and grew up without a father. So going to be a geo bachelor and go somewhere else and miss prom and miss, you know, the first time the boyfriend broke her heart, to miss just her growing up, to miss my son growing up, to miss being there every day with my wife in those high school years. And truth be told, right, worked out, you know. She just graduated from college after 4 years playing 4 years softball. I own the biggest softball company in the Southeast United States because of taking a chance. So it worked out. So let's talk about you. So 8 years in the Navy, you had a decision. You decided to get out. What happened after you separated? How was that process for you?
So to be honest, you know, I was pretty frustrated, to be honest with you, when I was at my 8 year. I was kind of fed up. I had some personal things going on, you know, with my personal life. And like I said, just had my my second daughter. Wasn't married, right? So, and you know, they send you the TAP classes and all that. And my mindset was, I just want to get out, right? I was having issues with my you know, chain of command and whatnot. So I was just completely frustrated. I wanted to get out. I didn't focus. I didn't really pay attention at the TAP classes or any of this stuff in particular with injuries and whatnot, right? My main goal is just get out. I did my 8 years, and let's get back to the civilian world, right?
Right.
So I made that. I stayed in upstate New York, and honestly, I was able to get I was working for where was it? Insurance company, MetLife or something.
Okay.
Had secured a pretty good job there. So that transition was pretty easy for me. You know, as far as you know, getting a job and whatnot. You know, so I'm working, you know, back to civilian life, you know, the military. I had forgotten all about that, and and to be honest, I made some bad decisions, right? And I had made some bad decisions prior to going to the Navy, right? Which sort of pushed me to that direction. Kind of fell back into some of my old, stuff I shouldn't be doing. Just trying to make ends meet and whatnot. And uh, and real quickly got kind of lost, right? So
Yeah.
here I am at but I'm still at the same time, I actually left the MetLife, and I had a really good job. I was the Northeastern District inventory manager for Joann Fabrics, right?
Okay.
So a lot of my stuff in the Navy was the inventory control and
Right.
that sort
Sure.
of
No,
stuff.
knowing what a nin, a nan, and all that is, right? Yeah.
So we had to make if we were supposed to have 100 screws for the AR, whatever it was, we had to have those.
Yeah.
So 100% inventory there was no other option. So I parlayed it in that job. I was traveling a lot. Had over 100 stores I was responsible for. I had an older gentleman that traveled with me. This guy, his name was Jerry. So they used to call us the Tom and Jerry Show. He was a lot older. He was a lot older than I was, and he was a retired English professor. And complete opposite people, but when we got together, we got stuff done, and
Yeah.
we were breaking all kinds of records and whatnot for as far as getting the inventories done on time, and just the accuracy of them. And so I was doing that, but I was still doing messing around with things I shouldn't be doing, and I actually started going to school in upstate New York as well, working on my degree, because no matter what was going on, I knew that I needed to take advantage of the GI Bill and all that sort of stuff. Right?
Use them benefits.
Use those benefits, and so
That's it.
So that's what I did, and so without getting into too much detail, things got. I'm in New York, and things got a little crazy, right? And so I had to make the decision, and it sucked at the time. So my youngest daughter, she was about Alicia, she was about 10 years old, but I knew I had to move. I knew I had to remove myself because I was either going to federal prison or somebody was going to kill me. There's only two ways out of that type of thing.
Right.
I literally left. I had a cousin that was here in Florida, and to be honest, I got the night before. I was planning that. Nobody knew I was going. I was talking to my cousin. I was like, I'm just going to make a clean break. Nobody's going to know what I'm doing. And then unfortunately, one of the guys that used to help me with the participate in the things that I shouldn't be doing. I got robbed at gunpoint for quite a substantial amount of money that I was going to use to start over in Florida. So that was gone. I also had when I had $1,000 and all the stuff I could fit in my car from New York, and I said, "This is it. This is it. You come to Florida, start over. All that stuff is done." And it was one of the scariest, probably the second scariest thing I've ever done. But it saved my life 100%. I got back in school when I was here.
Let me ask you a question. How much of that do you think is because the separation process from the military is terrible, unhelpful? It does not set you. I was a 16-year chief. Thank God I've got some common sense. I had a good resume. I had, a good profile, a lot of leadership. I was leaving with a master's degree. I was a high-ranking official. So that part made it easier for me to, do some stuff. But for me personally, felt after 16 years, the separation process, just here's your paperwork. We'll see you later. Have a nice day. They give you this TAPS class, which makes you, it's nothing. There's no information. There's no, you've been doing this same thing for 4, 8, 10, 12, 16, 20, some of these guys and gals, 30 years. And it's just when you walk away, the camaraderie is gone, the team is gone, the everyday grind, the night, like no one sets you up for those mental things that you go through, of separation, of lack of belonging, of what do I do now, of, you know, everybody's funny. I always thought, everybody always says that the military doesn't make good money. As a chief petty officer, 15 and a half years in the Navy, I was making $95,000 a year, you know, and for a kid that came from nothing, making $95,000 a year was amazing, right? And you know, while I didn't go through a lot of the things that you went through when you separated, when I walked away from a $95,000 career with medical insurance and all these other things, I left and went through the alternative teaching certification program, and I became a teacher here in Pasco County. Right, I taught sixth grade history. I taught eighth grade U.S. history, and then I taught 2 years of civics. All the while, that loss of $50,000 a year in income, my wife and I ran through our savings. We ran through everything that we had in order to keep up. And in fact, ended up taking a bankruptcy in 2017, 2.5 years after separating. Our own fault, right? I mean, we had made some judgments. We had made some moves when we were younger, building our lives. And when you lose 50 grand in a year, it catches up with you, right? So we took a financial reset, and it was shortly after that. You know, remember I told you I got out because of softball and all this, you know, and because of, you know, not wanting to be separated from my family and just all these reasons of now wanting to be a little bit more permanent here. We had bought a home living in the county, and it was just, we started that softball business in 2018, shortly after the bankruptcy, 3 years after we got out. And, you know, that has been 7 years now. We started that with one 18-team tournament in the Gainesville area in 2018, which now turns into 40 tournaments. And, you know, like I've said, one of the biggest tournament companies in the Southeast. So you moved to Florida, $1,000, what you had in the truck, reset, said goodbye to some family. I imagine your daughters were up there at the time because you were coming down here to reset. So you get to Florida. You know, what happens? How does Aqua Blue come about? I'm sure there was a couple things that still happened before that. Kind of what bring us to current day and where Thomas is now and how he got to that point.
Sure. So like I said, I came here and, you know, with the full understanding that I needed a complete reset, right? Got back and, you know, back to church, right? Back to that faith that I was brought up in, and just realized that how lucky I was to make it through what I've been through, and still have my freedom, right? And be alive. And so I just knew that, you know, at that time I wasn't thinking about entrepreneurship still. I was just like, let me just get a good job.
Just get a job, baby.
So I was doing that. I was going to school. They were paying me to go to school. I got a job. Crazy. I got a job at Dollar Tree down here. I was going to school full time. Now, let me back up a little bit. When I first got here, my goal was I wanted to go to law school. I've always wanted to be a lawyer, right? So I'm like, you know, this is it. Let's do it. You know, yeah, I'm a little older, but so what? I can do it. So, I first signed up I was going to go to SBC initially.
Yep, down in St. Pete. Yep.
Yeah, so, but with the time frame of when their classes started and when I needed to start receiving my GI Bill, an option arose for ITT Tech to go as a paralegal, right?
Okay.
So I said, all right, let's do that. Let's go to ITT Tech. So I enrolled at ITT Tech and was taking the paralegal studies. My plan was get my 2-year paralegal, apply to law school. Stanford Law School is the one I wanted to go to. So, you know, we're 2 years in, and I'm crushing. I've always had a little bit of brains with me, right? And so, thank God, you know, I'm crushing it in school, and I'm working part time. I think at that time I was working part time I was a warehouse manager for a company that built LED lights for grocery stores and whatnot. Long story short, with the ITT stuff, at that point, I was like, well, I just got promoted at that job I was working at. I was like, well, maybe I'll stick with the back to the warehouse manager, inventory type stuff. And so that's when I got a job at Coca Cola. There's a plant down here in Dunedin in Coca Cola. Can you hear me?
Yeah, no, I got you.
Yeah. So there's in downtown in Dunedin. There's a Coca Cola plant that's been there since like 1940. We only make orange juice and Minute Maid products there. So yeah, so I got a job there as the inventory and procurement manager. Right, I'm like, I made it, making pretty good money. I was determined to get to the top. So got a couple promotions, and just kind of I can't hear you, so I don't know if you can
Hear
hear me.
me. You're in a new area. Sorry.
Yeah.
You're in a new area. You got a new opportunity. You got a lot of good stuff going on, and now you're going for it all, right?
So I'm trying to build. I'm trying to build my way up that corporate ladder, and I was killing it in Coca Cola. I was the president of the Military Veterans Business Resource Group for
Okay.
our area, right? So what it was is, we would do stuff for vets in the community, whether it was go build a wheelchair access, clean their house, whatever it was.
Yeah.
We would do that. We would be in charge of celebrating Veterans Day at each of our Coca Cola plants. Because one thing when I got, as a veteran, yourself a veteran, I was like, man, well, so before I took over, Veterans Day was like, I think
Yay.
they had a cake with a flag or something,
Right.
And I'm like, we got to
Step it up, right? Got to show it where it's at, right? Yeah.
So I built that program up. All the vets were like, "Yeah, Thomas, let's go," because we were getting shirts and hats, and we would have in the mess decks there and Coca Cola in the cafeteria. Everybody would.
My
have
man
their
said mess decks.
mess decks. So a little plaque that said, where they were staying. Just it
Right.
made it a little more official. So I'm like, yeah, I'm here, I'm ready to go. I'm applying for other big jobs in like Atlanta, Coca Cola. I got my degree. I got my degree in business administration.
Okay.
I'm sorry, in in the arts, right? So I'm like, yeah, here we go. And I just couldn't get past that. Just tried. And then we got a new manager, and we kind of butt heads, so this is probably right before COVID, right?
Okay. 2020.
Yeah. So, uh, like, man, what do I do? I just feel like, I'll just things are now starting to make it go downhill a little bit because I rubbed some of the people higher above me a little wrong.
Isn't that the way it sometimes works for us, right? Like you can only, and that's why the military, I think, works so good for me, because every 3 to 4 years you were moving and encountering new people and new situations and new ideas and things like that. Now that changed for me towards the end of my career. I was tired of moving. I wanted to meet the same people and interact and build relationships and set roots, but it just seems like with high-wired guys like us that own our own businesses, that we're in the, a veteran, and, that constant need for, I don't know, maybe the word stimulation, right? Boredom sets in, you get complacent or you get just bored, and now you're looking for something to keep that excitement going, right?
It's something you have a little more control over what happens.
Yeah.
Because if we're putting in that work, that's the one thing I'm busting my ass, for these guys, and I am making a little more money, but I wanted a sense of ownership or whatever, right?
Yeah.
So right before COVID, I was out interviewing. I was like, well, let me just try to find something, and I did. I got hired for same position at a company called Metler Toledo, which is like a huge manufacturing plant. Same type of stuff I was doing.
Sure.
Stuff. But so it was like a month right before all the COVID stuff happening. And great facility, brand new facility, full-time cafeteria with cooks. Like but the structure was all the everything else was horrible. No leadership. Nobody knew what they were doing.
Mm.
And I said, "No, I'm not doing this." Long story short, so let me just back up. In between all this time, I finally got custody of my youngest daughter.
Okay, congratulations. Yeah.
She was about 11. I finally got her here, so I'm raising my daughter, my youngest daughter, by myself. And one of the things we like to do is we would go to like some random mom and pop breakfast spot on
Yeah.
Saturdays, right? And lo and behold, we just happened to stop at this one, and I saw this guy that used to work with me at the Electrolet place before I went to Coca Cola. And he had started, I got to talk. I said, "Hey, what happened with you?" He said, "Oh, I started my own pool business."
Okay.
I said, "What?" He goes, "Yeah." And he's telling me how good it's going and all this and that. I'm like, "Huh, that sounds really interesting." So um, I got his number again, and I was talking to him. I was like, "You know what? Things are getting crazy with the COVID, like, with it going into work and stuff." And I said, "You know what? Let's do it." So I
Starting a
let them
business
know
in the middle of COVID.
right in COVID. Like, what are you doing? you got I just bought my house. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? I just bought my house. But turns out the pool service during COVID was the right thing to do. People
People
were
still had
home.
to swim. People are home.
People were home swimming in the pool all day long.
Yeah.
They weren't going out. So this is how I start. He gave me some numbers. I started researching and stuff. I went out and trained with him for 2 days, right on the route. And now, mind you, I'm not afraid of hard work, but I had been in corporate America. I had an office with 3 computer screens, right, and a meeting table, right.
Yeah.
What I'm saying? Like I wasn't putting in physical labor.
Right.
In Florida, in summertime,
Those
right?
barcodes, you take that inventory with a barcode and a scanner. Beep, 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 beep. That
That's
ain't,
about it. That's
that's
it.
it.
That's all I was doing. And so I did a little research. I went and took my license. I got my license. You take a 3-day course. You get your license. Got my business license and all that. Started it. I didn't have a single customer, right? Not one customer. I just got my license, my insurance.
But that's how it starts, right?
Got my
But that's how
clearance.
it's right. Listen, like I always say this, like no pun intended, because you own a pool business, right? But 90% of the people that get up, walk to the pool and stick their toe in, no matter what the temperature is, they're not going to jump in.
Right.
Right? They're not going to jump in. They're going to go back to, ooh, it's too cold. Ooh, right? And kind of that's what we do with fear. Right? Oh, I'm a little scared. Oh, I don't know what's going to happen. What's on the other side? If I open that door, what am I going to lose? I just got my daughter. I just bought my house. I just did all of these things. Now we're in the middle of a pandemic and I'm starting a business. Oh, no. Right? So the pressure, the anxiety, the stress, the where do I go, the what do I do, all of those emotions that you must have been going through during that time.
Yeah, it was scary. But and I think a lot of the military training, the ability to perform under not so good circumstances and just focus, make a plan. With the college classes I was taking, the business,
Yep.
that helped a lot. But to be honest, it's just really doing it right. And so I came up with a plan. I said, it was crazy. What I would do at nighttime, I was Uber eating, right? 'Cause I still
Okay.
had, I had, after 1 week, I got my first pool, right? So I would Uber eat, right? And then what I would do, and I didn't, we learned marketing in my business classes and all that, but how do you apply that to a pool service? And I would stalk other people's
Right. Right.
That's
Yes.
how
Yes,
I did it.
sir.
You know what I mean? So anyways, I would go Uber Eats, and they would take me to these developments, and I would write down the address, right? Because I would see all these pools, right? I'm like, this is Belcher Road, whatever, right? Uh, I come back to the house, go to Google Maps overview, right? so you can see all the pools.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
There's a fucking pool. Every house has a pool. Here, right?
Welcome to Florida.
I'm like, we're everywhere, right? So I said, well, what do you do? What do you do? And this is how I started getting customers. I took that map, I took these streets, I went to the USPS.com, right? You can do that direct mailing.
Yeah.
Right. So you can specifically go on their website, use and pick a road, type in Belcher Road, 2422 Belcher Road, right? And it'll zoom in there, and it'll show the actual postal route, right? And I'm looking at that postal route compared to the maps with the pools. I can see the satellite view. I'm like, all right, there's 150, 200 homes in that particular postal route, right? I spent about $800 on some really nice flyers that you get in the mail or somewhere. I want some good quality ones. And then I would mail those out, right? And I'm going to be 100% honest. I think I probably mailed out 800 or so. I spent maybe 1,200, 1,500. I can't remember the total amount, but I got 3 pools out of there, right? But if you do the math, 3 pools back then, we were doing pools for $100 a month. So 3 of those at $1,200 a month is $3,600.
4 months.
I'd already got a great ROI.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So that's how I started, and then I would just listen to people. Just about any business, you're in the, you got a restaurant, but the same thing applies, right?
Yeah.
You got to deliver quality product, right? You got to be clean. You got to look the part, right? And you have to do it every time,
right?
Every time, right? And so that's how I initially got ahead. I spent the money in making sure my uniforms were squared away, right? My name on it, the logos, the hat. I had my logos on everything. I'm talking that, and that's how I sort of started got into the apparel side. Everything,
making sure it's clean, right?
Clean, man, everything had to be clean, and show up when you say you're going to show up. And I'm literally learning how to take care of pool chemistry. I'm on YouTube. I'm reaching out to the local people.
Yeah.
The pools. And I can tell you back then, it wasn't. So there's a core group of us now of us small business owners for pools that collaborate, right?
Yeah.
And now it's getting more and more. So each year it seems to be, because there's so many pools. There's no need to fight. Let's learn, man. You know what I mean? Like I'm not trying to steal your pools. There's 50 other pools right here. Let's just work together. And so I did. I met a few people. Brandon, in particular, from GoPro Pools, we clicked right off the rip, and I would just soak up this knowledge, and I would just bust my ass.
I love it.
You know what I mean? So
I love it.
Build up. And,
I love the story beginning, right? It takes me back to 2018. I told you I'd separated from the Navy, and I took that bankruptcy in 2018. I'm running 18 softball teams in the state of Florida, from Miami to Jacksonville to Panama City, for an organization called the Firecrackers. It's a nationals travel softball organization. I'm the Florida president, I guess, of that. Regional director is what they called it. So through this time, I'm meeting people in the softball world. I was a coach. I coached high school softball, won a state championship in 2019 as a 3A private high school coach. I actually own the only one of 2 at the same school, 2 back-to-back state titles for a military boarding school for a female softball team. We got the only state championship in the country. So this was Admiral Farragut Academy down in St. Pete, right off of 5th Avenue. So 2018, I'm running those teams. I'm building I guess, following group of people. So this guy that was running tournaments for PGF in Georgia reaches out to me, and he says, hey, I want you to help me run this tournament in March of 2018. I said, bro, I just got out of the Navy. I'm a teacher. I'm running I don't have time to do any of this. And I actually told the guy no. Right.
Yeah.
And I said, I'll play in the tournament maybe, but I don't have time to be a director, run tournament, do this, do that. And, a couple weeks went by and he messaged me again. He goes, look, I got the fields, I got the umpires, I got these tickets and this idea, and I just need you to get teams. So I said, all right, bro, fine, no big deal. I'll come in, I'll help you out. So we ran the tournament, 18 teams, but it was like, you ever have those moments where your life shifts and in that moment your life has shifted, right? So I've had several of those moments, right? One was when I was very, very young. The other one was my father passed away. The other one was when I joined the Navy, then when I got out. And now when I ran this tournament, my life that day kind of shifted because I saw another side of softball where I could just go from being the coach and telling the player what to do to being the director and having an impact on the coach, the parent, the player, and hundreds of thousands of kids every year, right? Yeah. So 2018 turned into 2019. I think in 19 we did maybe 10 tournaments, and then boom, COVID, right? Yeah. COVID shut us down March, April. Now, it's an outside sport. Right? We were at softball field. Everything was outdoors. We had to navigate. Parents were going to sit out in the outfield, nothing in the close, congested area. So it was Memorial Day of 2020. We actually started back that day as the first softball tournament, in the state that I know of, to start that day, Memorial Day weekend. And what happened was, for us, just like you, people were staying home. They needed clean pools, right? Well, every other state, for the most part, across the country was closed. Yeah. Closed. So we brought on probably 50% of our business from out of state. Teams were flying, driving, and hiking because they just wanted to feel that connection. They wanted their kids to play ball. The country was shut down, and everybody came here. That's all right. Letting the pooch in. He just barked. I heard him. He was like, yo, Pops, let me in. Let me in.
So that's crazy how that's,
everybody from out of state came to Florida to play ball. And, so that year, 2020, everything for us tripled. And we held on to about 30% of that business that still comes in from out of state every year. And now, here in 2024, we run 40 tournaments. Our biggest event of the year is our state tournament coming up in December. We'll have 170 plus teams. But our biggest event we do June 6th to the 9th. We give away $50,000, $60,000 back to the winning teams. $10,000 cash prize in 3 different age groups plus a bunch of runner-up. And our championship game is held at the University of Florida softball field. So we host about 150 college coaches. It's been a lot of fun and a great transaction. So now you're here, right? You're here. It's 2024. I can finish that story on my end and say, hey, the softball business. Then I sold a house. Taking that money that I sold from the house, I decided, and we'll save this story for maybe Bill and Thomas episode 2. About how I opened became the first franchisee for Capital Tacos. But I want to kind of close today with you, and now you've got your business, you've figured out how to market, because I want to, hey, maybe you and I sit down and we talk weekly. Who cares, right? Or maybe once every other week. You talked about your marketing plan and how when you were doing one job, you were noticing pools. So you were writing information down and you were making notes, and you went on Google Maps, you researched. Now you've got the business, you've got your contracts, you've gone as far as to say you're collaborating with other pool operators. So how is business 2023? We're a month away from 2024. How is business on the pool side? And I want to talk about your apparel next time. Next time we'll talk about Capital Tacos and we'll talk about apparel, right?
Sure.
But talk to me about now. How is Aqua Blue going? How are those collaborations going? What's going on for TH today?
Man, I'm telling you, I am so excited for 2024. Um, we've come a long way. I've had some, I've had a couple part-time employees. I've had a couple full-time people just struggling to find the right people. Right? It's it's not rocket science cleaning the pool, but it is hot. Right? You're driving around, and not everybody's for that. Not everybody wants to work, unfortunately, right? Whether it's this new generation or whatever. But I'm happy to announce now that so for the first time in a while, I got a brand new full time guy
Yeah,
who's out,
good for you.
who's literally for just about 2 weeks in. Now it's still early, but no complaints. He's got some experience. He's out handling the residential side of things. Um, I'm doing my commercial, and so after 3 4 years of grinding
Yeah.
nonstop, I finally feel like, well, not let down, but now I can go even harder, right? I got the team in place. I still got a part time guy that comes and helps him when I need him, a younger guy. Um, so that guy's out. He's been out for 2 or 3 weeks now. Um, and so what I'm looking, so I think we talked briefly, I think even before we got live here or whatever, but my kids are gone now,
Yeah.
right? So just me. I had this house. I'm sitting on some money here, a
Yeah.
cash, and so I don't need this big house anymore, right? So we're selling the house. Come here. We're closing December 2nd.
Okay.
And so I'm going to take some cash, invest it into the business. I need to buy another truck and get it on the road for somebody else, and I need to have my own truck. So things are looking good.
That's what he wants.
Yeah.
Look, we think we're training them, and the whole time they're training us.
So, selling the house, going to invest a good amount of money into the business. Uh, Collaboration, like I said, I work with Brandon quite a bit from GoPro Pools, a couple of other companies, and there's exciting stuff happening. Maybe I can't really say for sure yet, but there may be a collaboration with a couple different of us local pool guys coming together, creating our business, and go from there. So
There you go.
the sky's the limit, and I feel like it's not like I feel like I made it because I'll never feel that way. I think I can see that in you as well. It's like there's always something else to do, right? So
Yeah, I call that chasing the endless finish line.
yeah. So, but it allows me to just be like, okay, it's been 3 or 4 years of me. I mean, I'm talking about, the grind. I'm talking about getting up in the morning, hitting the gym at 3:34, cleaning pools by myself all day in the hot sun, on the phone, trying to get new customers, and just So now I'm able to breathe a little bit and kind of refocus my energy. What I want to do is just keep collaborating, keep growing the business, and I'll be working on my contractors side of things. Just real quick before we get off. So because I'm a veteran and a college, I hold a college degree. A lot of these sort of restrictions, are a way, right, for me to get my pool contractor's license, which will allow me to, at some point, have a team building pools, resurfacing pools, and whatnot. And so,
Wonderful.
and I'll have time to do that now that I'm not, busting my ass 15 hours a day. So I'm excited for the future, and the future is bright over Aqua Blue Apparel. I mean, in the pool service side of stuff. So I'm excited, 100%. I'm ready to
I,
rock and roll, man. I'm ready to rock and roll.
I love it, man. I can hear the passion in your voice, right? You sounds like you're just finding your way, right? And we're allowed to do that. I'm 43 years old. I've had one business, like I said, for about 6-7 years now. The other one's only a year old. We're kind of just getting started in the second, third phase of our life and continuing to push that envelope forward.
Right.
Well, listen, man, there is a lot still to talk about there. We got to talk about the hub. We got to talk about Aqua Blue Apparel. We got to talk about Capital Tacos. We got to talk about team building and collaboration and all of those things, impacting the local community, marketing, advertising, giving back, all the things that we all do as a local company and community here. So I really appreciate the time. Let's plan to do this again after the holidays within the next couple of weeks. I think it was a lot of fun. I enjoyed learning about you tonight for sure.
Good. Me as well. You have the thing coming up December 4th, right?
December 4th, yeah, thanks for bringing that up. So here's what December 4th is about, right? Anybody who watches this video and makes it to the end of the hour, I hope they do, because, I mean, there's a lot of good information in here. So for me, right, again, like I am in this transition period in my life where information needs to be shared. Right? Like I've been going through this growth process and this growth phase. Like again, for me, I'm a humble guy, but I've done a lot. I've been through a lot, right? I buried my father at a young age. I buried my sister in my 20s. I buried my best friend in my 20s. I've dropped out of school. I've went back and got a degree. I've been in the military. Now I own 3 businesses that gross over $1 million a piece. Like I've helped thousands of kids achieve scholar. Like there's just a lot of roots to the branches in the tree there. So for me, it's about, some guys are out there and they're like, rah, 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 rah. And that's great. And I'm a rah, rah guy too. I'm going to tell you to get your stuff together. There's no sissies. There's no, what do you say? There's no crying in baseball, right?
Nobody's coming to help you.
No one's coming to save you. But I also believe that the message can't stop there. No one's coming to save you. However, this is how you survive, right? To just say the message like, hey, no one's coming to save you. Now go screw yourself and go enjoy your life. I hope you make it.
Yeah, go figure it out.
Right, go figure it out. So for me, this is December 4th is like, first off, it's, hi, how you doing? Everybody here is just, let's eat some good breakfast. I'm going to have tacos there and some donuts and some juice and some coffee on the house, just socializing, getting together. But it's more about like, okay, you just said it. You want to collaborate. You want to, maybe come together, build some business. You want to get a contractor's license. Your children are grown. Maybe you're getting ready to become a grandfather. You're selling a house. You're expanding. For me, I'm a husband. My son's graduating. I run multiple businesses. My mother, is going through some stuff. There's all of these pressures in the world. And we, as men, we're always told, suck it up, deal with it, make it happen. No one cares. You got to roll. And while that's true, there has to be an outlet to say, this is how I feel. This is how I do it. This is what I go through. Because you, me, and every other person around, we feel that weight, we feel that pressure, and we go, I have to feel this way. I can't tell anybody. If I do, I'll look weak and people won't work with me or talk. And I just don't believe that. The older I get, I just don't believe that. And so this is just a space and a place for fellowship, for guys to get together, to talk, share ideas. It's not so much about business, but we'll talk about business because that's a part of our life, but it's more just about life and how can we elevate that life. For me, it's through fitness. Through me, it's through, if you look on there's always within 5 feet of me, a good book, The Ideal Team Player, right? Coaching, Say Less, Ask More. I love this book. If you ever want a good book to deal with a certain client base, it is Custom Her Experience. It is a book just based on marketing to women, right? Because guess what? They're some of the best purchasers, And more so because 90% of my clients in the softball business are female, right? And the other ones are just coaches signing their teams up. So that thing, and I appreciate again you bringing it up. December 4th is literally, like I said, maybe I'll be the only one there. Maybe you and me will be the only two people there, right?
I got it in my calendar already.
That's what I'm saying. So like, there's not a real curriculum or I'll have an agenda, but just like this conversation navigated as we went, I want it to be about what people need, not what I want to talk about.
Right. No, exactly.
So
I think one of the things, bro, I know we're going along, but just
you're good.
You brought it up. So I'm a little older than you. I'm 52, and to do so, you figure 3-4 years I was 49, and to start a big business, and that's not gonna, because I got a lot to learn, and there's stuff I'm still not doing right, but I want people to understand that no matter what age or whatever it is you're going through COVID, there's a way to get shit done.
Yes, sir.
And don't be scared to make those. Don't be scared to do it.
Yeah.
You find some people like you. Find the hub. Find whatever. Find your gang, your crew.
Yeah.
And
your
build.
Navy.
Your Navy and build. That's it, man. We gotta help each other. We gotta help each other, and I'm here for it all, man. And I'm learning. I'm learning just like everybody else. Have I already started the journey? Yeah. Do I got a lot to learn? Yeah. And I'm looking. We're just getting started.
No, listen, I love that. I didn't open my first restaurant until I was 42 years old just last year. I'll be 44 on Sunday, and we have built a long set of railroad tracks. And our journey is still continuing. So.
Yeah.
Very good. All right, Thomas, I've enjoyed the talk for sure, man. I want to get back together again. Lots of things to continue to talk about. But if nothing else, I will certainly see you December 4th, okay?
Salute, man.
Very good, buddy. I appreciate it. You have a good night, sir.
You too.
All right, bye-bye. All right, so that is Thomas, man. Thomas right down there, Aqua Blue Pool Service, Aqua Blue Apparel. Bill Hoops here, Capital Tacos, Florida PGF 1221 Productions. This is uncut. It's unscripted. I'm not going to go back and edit it. This is live. Thomas's emotions, my emotions, his career, my career, his journey, my journey. So hopefully you enjoyed this conversation. I'm going to continue to do these interviews and these talks with people in the community, people across the country, because it's just good to share good information. It's good to learn together, collaborate together, and just relate, because maybe you heard something in this story that literally can help you. Maybe you heard one of us say something that, maybe you're dealing with or you went through or you can relate to. That's what it's all about. So I appreciate the time. I appreciate you all checking us out. Thomas, I appreciate you coming on the show. We'll talk to you again soon. You guys have a happy Thanksgiving. Hoops out.